Right. I think that we are rolling. Hi, it's Karen and Stephen, and we are making the point. And today we wanted to talk a little bit because we're in the middle, well, I don't know, middle, beginning, and we have no idea what part
No.
of this war we are in. But week, I think somebody on the Daily Show called it this week the ninth week of the 4 week long war. So, anyway, we thought maybe we would want to discuss the nature of war and what is it that draws countries or factions into war with each other to, kill people and to try and gain dominance, and what, if anything, are we being able to garner and understand about the current situation that the United States is in with Iran. And just before we got on film, Stephen was talking about some of the historical stuff that he knows all about, and I know nothing about. Anyway.
Okay, I was, I want to say pontificating, but I was telling Karen about this book that came out about 3, 4 years ago. Don't remember the title, don't remember the author, but the premise of the book is based the on the Greek, on the Peloponnesian War, the war between Greece and Sparta, and in which the Athenians sent a fleet to Sicily, and it was completely destroyed by the Spartans. And the premise of the book is that in most cases, when there are two bullies on the block, and perhaps efforts have been made by themselves and by others to prevent a war, that despite all the efforts, at some point, when there are just these two big guys, China and the United States, in the world right now, war is inevitable. That at some point, China and the United States are going to war. And I have not read the book, but I've thought personally for a number of years that so long as the present Chinese leader is in power, and doesn't matter whether we have the fool that we have now or we have an enlightened whoever succeeding Trump, that as long as Hu Xiaoping, is that his name? What's the Chinese leader?
Xi Jinping.
Sorry?
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping, as long as he is in power and continues his stated goals, that there will be a war. There will be a war between the United States and China. And probably as a surprise to most Americans, even most generals, heads of the armed forces agree that either the United States will lose the war, or we sure ain't going to win it, which is a terrifying thing to me, to think that China is now the master of the world. But anyway.
It's interesting. I think that some people would say that we're already at war with China. I mean, we're certainly in an economic war. We're in a technology war with China.
Would that we could remain at a technological level of warfare, but to me, the scariest thing is, when you get down to if there is going to be war, brass tacks is that the United States, the war is going to probably become because of Taiwan. And what the United States has to offer to offset China's military dominance in that area is basically its aircraft carriers and its few bases like in Hawaii and Guam, but the Chinese have developed, and I can't think of the exact term right now, but they've developed weapons, missiles of such range and capacity that if American aircraft carriers approach or try to approach Guam to send support, that the Chinese technology is such that they will be able to destroy these aircraft carriers before they ever get in flying distance of China. If that's true, then better start learning Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever, because there will be no way to defend Taiwan. And also, I think it's pretty much accepted that the bases on Guam and Hawaii and even the Philippines would be easily neutralized at the beginning of a war. I've read a number of articles, opinion pieces, the book, and there's just no way that we could defeat China in a non-nuclear war.
Or a nuclear war either.
Well, it would all be dead.
We would hope that's exactly right. Well, it's interesting. It seems to me that just talking about, I mean, I totally agree with you, and it seems that Xi Jinping, and I don't really know very much about the person as a human being. I don't know anything about his history or any of that, but it does sort of seem that China has been playing a very, very smart long game that the United States has not given a shit about and thought, oh, well, who cares, right? In the midst of the United States playing with all the factions in the Middle East and being flummoxed by that and by oil and drilling and all of the hydrocarbons.
Close enough.
I'm hungry.
It's her house. She can stay with
I can say it wherever the fuck I want. No, I'm making pasta for dinner. It's on my brain. Hydrocarbons. Bottom line is that China has been in the process of purchasing up enormous amounts of real estate in Africa and pumping an enormous amount of money in aid and investments and infrastructure in Africa. And we like to not think about the fact that China owes an enormous amount of America's debt. Enormous amount, the vast majority of it. And in the meantime, also, as they've been purchasing up all of this, resources and influence in Africa, they have gained control over what I understand to be something like 90 to 95% of all of the noble metals, all the rare earth metals that are required for things like cell phones and satellites, batteries, and all the things that we need in modern technology. And the United States, under no circumstances, no matter what they do, whether they make Canada the 51st state or they manage to purchase Greenland, that there's no way in hell that they can ever catch up. So unless technology, which America is not investing in right now. In fact, they're doing exactly the opposite.
We have to build
in every other way other than
We have to build
AI.
that ballroom. We have to build
a
a ballroom.
which went from being $200 million to now Congress is trying to get $1 billion
Yes,
for
yes.
it.
From us.
What
From
the
us.
fuck? Oh my God.
From us.
So it does seem to me that if, you think of the two superpowers being the United States and China, which, I mean, that's pretty undeniably the case, America is a stupid superpower, like a really, really dumb superpower. So kitten TV.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're hardly kittens. I mean, my God, on the 20th, they're going to be 11 months old. Can you even believe that?
Whoa.
I know. But I don't think that as I'm thinking of it, I don't know that we need to actually go to a conventional style war with China. I think that they're going to be able to take us out without shedding a drop of blood. I mean, all they really need to do is just separate us from these things. In 48 hours, we're going to be on our knees. We won't be able to access our money. We won't be able to access, resources. We won't be able to go to the grocery store. We won't be able to gas up our enormous fucking vehicles. We won't be able to communicate with each other. How many people who you call on a regular basis, do you know their phone number by heart? I can count like 3.
I can count about 4 or 5 or 6,
Yeah.
But that's it.
I mean, just separate us from this.
Yeah.
There'll be no time at all. And they don't have dominance in satellite, satellite presence. But it wouldn't be that hard for them to get it. And I mean, Elon Musk will put his money towards whoever will help him get to Mars.
He's probably studying Mandarin right
He's
now.
already deeply in bed with the Chinese. So, I mean, he's not an American. He is a globalist who is about him. And he, thinks of himself as this enormous brained futurist who, is like the H.G. Wells of science fiction. So, anyway, I don't think that China has to ever draw a gun on America.
Especially if
America might want to, because that's where they think that they, have dominance, which is absolutely not correct. I mean, we're seeing that happen in Iran right now.
And I mean, again, I have a feeling that if one were to go into, what's his name again?
Which one? Oh, Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping's bedroom, on one night table would be a picture of his wife, on the other a picture of Trump. I mean, Trump's his best friend in the whole world. Trump, for him, Trump is worth like probably 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aircraft carriers. Trump is his best friend in the world.
Trump is certainly the biggest gift that he ever got.
Yes, God, yes. I mean, China's sitting back. They may or may not be hurting for oil right now. I don't know. But they're getting through. And in the meantime, for one thing, they are not expending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of missiles, which we are, and which it's agreed upon by maybe everyone except Hegseth and his warriors, that the stockpiles are getting low. They're getting low. Not only are they low with regard to maybe having to resume the war with Iran, but forget Iran. These are the if we ever got with halfway across the Pacific, these are the missiles that we need to use on China in a war, and they're not there. And I don't know the statistics, but the the kitty cats, the number of companies, factories in this country that produce tomahawks and cruise missiles, etc., it's way down, and there is no way in the world that they are capable of replenishing should China decide by 2027, because if memory serves, that is it's either 2027 or 2029. It would be an anniversary of the takeover of China by the communists and the retreat of the nationalists to Taiwan. It's either 27 or 29 that Ping, I'm going to keep using his last name.
President Xi,
better than Mandarin. Xi has set as the year by which they will have reunited with Taiwan. And he's not going to change his mind.
Well, and, as long as Republicans are in power, and I hate to be crass like this, and I don't want to speak for them, but I mean, their actions are speaking louder than words. Why did they give a shit about Taiwan? They're not going to give a shit about Taiwan. They're not paying attention to this at all. And if they gave a shit about countries not taking over sovereign countries, then they would be fighting Russia tooth and nail, and they're not. They would be aiding Ukraine with everything they've got, and they're not. Aside from the fact that the armaments that, just a quick thing to all of our listeners, watchers, if there's any of you out there at all, hello, and we appreciate you being there. There's a guy, and if you could probably download his little segments on the CBC. His name is Andrew Chang, and he does a little segment that's called About That. And recently he did one exactly about this, how much it's costing the United States military for the war in Iran, not just like how much on a daily basis, but how much in terms of armaments that, like every Patriot missile that we send costs several $1 million to replace, and like 5 years to replace. So it's not like they could just, call up the Amazon Patriot missile store and have this shit replaced. They can't. These are enormous contracts. And Iran is beating our ass with, drones that cost a couple of $1,000. So they are having our lunch based on no money. They're taking they're not giving any concessions. And the United States is in this peril of not being able to continue at the level that they started this war at, because very soon they're not going to have the armaments to be able to keep the homelands safe and continue on with this war. And you're absolutely right, I think, that if anybody thinks that China's not paying attention to this shit, you're not paying attention, because they absolutely are. And the United States is not going to be in a position very, very soon to be war ready with what is supposedly by far and away the most powerful, indefeatable military on the planet. Soon they're not going to have that, and it's going to be gone like that without gaining anything in a war of choice, a vanity project for Trump.
And in addition to that,
Netanyahu as well.
These missiles that we're firing are not going to the Ukraine to defend against Russia. So it's a twofer there. I mean, it's not just that we are fucking ourselves; we're fucking the Ukrainians.
Yeah, and thereby the rest of the world, the rest of Europe. Yeah, the rest of Europe as a result. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, what is there to say about war when one of the major factions that is currently waging war and is a great target for war is stupid? What does it say? I mean,
war is stupid.
War is, I don't know if war is stupid, but this war is stupid.
I'd say
this war is stupid. Oh my God.
I'd say all wars are stupid. Even what some would call just war is stupid. But stupid is such a I won't even, and I apologize for the word stupid. It's too weak.
Okay, the Second World War was not stupid. That was a war that was fought over principles and human rights and dignity that mattered. And it mattered to the way that the world continued who won that war.
Right.
Right.
And
the Civil War, the American Civil War, many people would be able to say that that was a war of consequence. It was about, are you allowed to own people or are you not allowed to own people? And thankfully, the people who won were those who said, you're not allowed to own people. Now, mind you, they went ahead and gave the keys to the city to, the people
Jim
who
Crow.
think that, the people who think that you should be allowed to own people because we're not all equal. Man, fuck. How many weeks, how many months are we going to be talking about that in philosophy club? Are all people equal? Is, this nonsensical differentiation between people who believe that we're all born equal and those who don't believe that. And that's what war is about too. Not this war. This war is a stupid war.
Well, sometimes I'm ashamed of the fact how much TV I watch. Sometimes I'm not so ashamed.
TV's all right. There's good stuff on TV. There's a lot of shit on TV too. There's some good stuff on TV.
Well, I watch a certain amount of TV. I'll leave it at that. Uh, and I will admit to liking war movies, whatever. Um, I've seen so many, not just war movies, but TV shows where a person comes back from Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever, with PTSD, and that person proceeds to lose it at some point and goes out and kills any number of people, leaving any number of other people bereft of husbands, wives, children, aunts, cousins, whatever. And it's because of the damn war. That person didn't have PTSD before he or she went to war. War is so horrible because it's I mean war is bad enough. Take any war, World War II or any war, Iraq War, whatever. The damage, the horror that exists or results within the confines of a continent or a country, that's horrible beyond words. But then it's not finished. Just because a treaty is signed doesn't mean that the suffering is over.
Oh, not close.
The suffering now, we don't even need to go back to World War II. Leave it to Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever. These people who come back from with terrible, especially brain injuries and whatever, or just having warped their whole being, and they don't even have to go out and kill 10 or 20 people at the neighborhood store or whatever. The fact that this one person has had his life ruined or her life ruined by having to go and defend the flag or whatever, that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy. It's not just a tragedy for the person, it's for the wife, the husband, the children, the relatives, countless people that we wouldn't even think of, friends. Their lives can potentially just be disrupted beyond belief because of the fact that this person went to war for his country. I'm not a pacifist, but um, We have statues all over the country, thousands of statues of warriors, maybe rightfully so. Civil War, World War One, World War Two, whatever. Not glorifying these people, but remembering them, memorizing them. But um, I, it won't happen I don't think it'll happen in the next 10 lifetimes. But at some point, it would be nice to have statues all over the place of people who avoided wars and who made it not just possible, but pretty much really hard to go to war. I hope there are lots of statues for those people. Um, as long as we, and I know this will come across as glorifying pacifism or whatever. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that as long as we continue to glorify war in whatever way we can or do, then we as a species are not progressing in any way, shape, or form. Um, we're not. That'll be a bet.
No, it's pretty much no part of that I can disagree with. What I think about more now, though, is as technology changes and we are becoming less connected, more detached to the the violence of war. We're not seeing, like, in the First World War, as a horrifying war, people, hand to hand combat, they saw, they looked in the eyes, the people that they were about to bayonet or shoot in the face. I mean, there was a human perspective that caused, what we understand now as PTSD. It's just the horrifying cruelty and careless disregard for humanity that wars have been, the nature of war has been up till, well, and including now, but it's a lot easier, I think, to, play with a joystick and a drone and bomb someplace that you're not going to see the results of and you're not going to have a connection to it. You get some guy who's all hopped up on, Monster Energy drinks and is part of the Pete Hegseth, warrior ethos and wants nothing more than to USA, USA. I mean, this is the shit that ends up happening when you have somebody, if this is what causes me enormous concern about nuclear warfare, when we've got crazy, incompetent people with the power to make that happen. And they are not connected at all. The only thing that they care about is scoring that point, is winning that battle. They have no concept about what the aftermath is. They don't care about whose lives it destroys, because these are people that have been so sheltered from, pain and suffering and cruelty in their lives that they don't understand those concepts. They don't understand what that even is. Like, to hear, and this hasn't happened for a few months, but fucking everything happens so quickly now. Trump talking about Gaza. And she said, well, it's a beautiful piece of real estate, What we really need to do is we really need to just, take that back and make it the most beautiful, fabulous, gorgeous piece of, real estate for the whole world to appreciate. And by the whole world, he means the richest of the rich to come and play on the surface of what used to be Palestinians' homes and graves and sacred places. So he and others like him are so completely detached from the horrors of war that they're cavalier about it. And this is what causes me more than anything to to be afraid for this country, because I think China has it. I think that they have figured this shit out. That they're gonna get what they want. They're playing the long game. They don't want to be seen as being cavalier like America is seen across the planet now. China's doing what America used to do. After the Second World War, that's how America became a superpower, was with AID, going into poor communities, disparaging communities, drought-ridden communities, war-prone communities, disease-ridden communities, and go in there and just help. Go help. People used to see like the Red Cross truck and they'd rejoice. They'd see the USAID truck and they'd think, wow, the cavalry came to save us. And then they got rid of all that. China has flooded in to take that role. So they really are the moral authority on the global stage now. And America is not.
No.
So, and I mean, America is so deeply embedded in commerce with China. All China would need to do is just simply say, you know what? We're not going to sell anything to you anymore.
Oh, Lord.
That's it. We're not going to sell anything to you anymore. Your tariffs are stupid. We'll sell to everybody else who doesn't have tariffs. We'll sell as much as we always did, but we won't have to deal with you motherfuckers. And instantly, Walmart's dead, right? Walmart's going to have to go offshore.
Where do I shop on Saturday morning,
Every dollar store in every freaking tiny rural community is going to shut down. Instantly, everything is quadrupled in price at minimum. And they own us. The end. The end. China doesn't need to shoot any armaments in order to own the United States. They've been playing a long game that the United States has been stupid about.
Chinese history goes back 5,000 years. Ours goes back 250.
That's right.
BFD, which means big fucking deal.
I think they knew that.
Yeah, well, just to make sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever used it here, but wow, the Chinese are so good at waiting. They're good at waiting. I mean, they don't get to be the way they are now after 5,000 years by not waiting.
I wish I had a nickel for every American man who said that they had read The Art of War. Because they can't say anything. Oh my God. They can't tell you anything about it. And they make all of the classic, they display all the classic flaws that are outlined in that book.
I've not read the Art of War, but one line I remember from it is that basically, and this is not quoting, but basically the best, the easiest way to win a battle is by not fighting it.
Right.
And like you were saying, they don't have to fight.
They don't have to do anything.
They don't have to do anything. They just have to hope and pray that we continue to let Trump be president for the next couple of years.
They don't even need to do that.
Yeah. Right.
They don't even need to do that. We could have the most progressive, brilliant-minded, forward-thinking strategist be elected, to the presidency in 2028 if we ever be bothered having elections again. And it would not matter because we have not been paying attention for such a long time. America, as this, what is, I think, going to be a failed experiment, has embraced greed and avarice so close to its chest that has become the most important thing of all, is for the rich to get richer. And if you can't be on the speed path to absolute wealth, then fuck you. You're not our problem. And that's it. I mean, look at how the United States fares against every other first world nation. Hang on a second. It's my husband. hey, we're podcasting. You want to say hello to people? Hello, everybody.
Hey, Kelly.
Let me call you back. Bye. But yeah, sincerely, I just really think that America has been petty and small and isolationist and stupid from its inception. You know,
question.
it tried hard with with the Constitution. It tried hard with the Bill of Rights to set up a platform that was very, very noble, but it has made precious few steps towards embracing any of those in reality. Like really and truly, like we've just seen the Supreme Court gut basically the end of the Voting Rights Act. And well, already women have lost body autonomy. I mean, now minorities we're gonna go right back to having, it'll be racial gerrymandering, but they're just gonna be calling it partisan gerrymandering because
Jim Crow is coming back.
Oh, it's already back. It's already back. It's just, because this is what the people who don't believe that we're all created equal want. And they're in power. And they're in power because after the Civil War, we did not make the fucking Confederates go away. It's not like the way that Germany dealt with the Nazis. Hunt every fucking one of them down and prosecute them.
And in Germany now, it is against the law to wave a swastika, to propagate any sort of Nazi whatever. It's against the German basic
Federal
law. It's against the law.
And we didn't do that. In fact, in Reconstruction, don't be mad, guys. Come on back. We'll let you take up a vast majority of the government. We'll give you what you want. Just don't be mad with us. Just stay part of the country.
Those 600,000 people who died, let's bury them and forget them, best we can.
They're gone. Another generation, we won't even think about that.
So, does this mean, from what we've said and what you said and what we said, does this mean that basically, with regard to war, that we have lost, by we I mean humanity, not just the US or Chinese, we have all lost control of war?
Well, I think America has lost control of war. I think the United States has lost control of war. I don't think humanity has.
But, okay, I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah. And I mean, it entirely depends on whether or not anybody as an adult remains in power in the military, the American military, because they've really, really cleaned out anybody who is loyal to the Constitution and not Trump.
Especially if you're black and a woman.
Right.
Especially. Dear God, what Hegseth has done to the Defense Department is well, in the old days it would have been what's the term I'm looking for? Impeachable.
Of course.
Now, not so much.
Again, I truly believe that unless somebody is there to kill the switch of nuclear war, Trump is going to use the nuclear arsenal that the United States has because all he has is might. And he doesn't have that much of it if he doesn't use his nuclear weapons. So I am really, really pessimistic about the possibilities of humanity avoiding this because of this terrible, terrible spoiled child that is the United States.
Mm.
It's the fat, ugly, nasty, badly dispositioned, rich kid throwing mud pies in the playground that's been there for centuries, long before he was born. and he's just there disrupting everybody and being a little asshole. And that's the United States right now. And the biggest asshole that there is Trump. And, as in his first administration, for Christ's sakes, he was reported as saying, well, if we can't use our nuclear weapons, why do we have them?
Yes. And now we go so far as to say, yes, Trump is bad, but Trump wouldn't, and I've said this before a lot, Trump would not be there if over 70 million folks had not voted for him. If he would not be president if he hadn't been elected president. He's not president because he wants to be. He's president because people voted him in.
Yeah.
People voted him in. Now, granted, this is what's scary to me and sad. He's president because we voted him in, which means that the people that elected him felt that he should be president. The rest of us, those who did not, have to go along with that if we are to remain one country, one nation. So if he is the what's the word? If he is the biggest turd in the bunch, God, I hate that expression. I don't like the word turd. But anyway, then
I like the word turd.
I hate it. But
do you really?
but to me it applies all too well right now. Then it's not his fault, it's our fault. He didn't get himself elected. We elected him. We, as a country, elected him. So what the hell does that say about us? What the hell does that say about us? We started off talking about war.
Mm-hmm.
Well, war's the big subject, but we, giving power to a person to declare and perpetuate war at his whim, depending on how he feels at the moment, that's on us. That's on us. And I'm not sure who or what is out there that can fix that. We did it, I didn't vote for the shit, but if I call myself an American, I have to take responsibility for the fact that even though I didn't elect him, he is my president. Gaga maggot, he is my president. Well, have a drink.
Well, this is one of the things that I think is happening on a global stage, is that the rest of the allies have recognized exactly that it's not just Trump, it's the fact that the American people can no longer be trusted to make good decisions.
We can't.
So they are in the active process of circumventing the United States in trade deals, in diplomacy, in alliances. They understand that not only is the United States right now not an ally, but that they can't rely on the United States to come back to being an ally anytime soon, because the American people are stupid. And I'm sorry.
No,
it's true though.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
And not only the ones who aren't stupid are weak. So the ones that are in power are really, really stupid, and the ones who aren't stupid and aren't in power are enormously weak. Trying hard to, well, we just really want to make sure that we're, the president for everybody. We want to make sure, like what Barack Obama did. First 2 years of his presidency, he's got both chambers of Congress, he's got the White House, he's got Supreme Court. I mean, he's got everything. And what does he do? It's like, well, I want to be the president for everybody. I don't want to just be the president for the people who voted for me. You see what I mean? I really want to make sure that everybody is as happy as we can get. As much of a consensus as is possible. Fuck that shit. I gotta tell you, if Democrats ever gain control of the White House and both chambers of Congress again, if you fuckers do not get out there and make everyone who brought this country to the brink of destruction, which I'm not sure we're going to avoid. If we avoid it, and Democrats ever get back into power again, if you don't prosecute every fucking one of these for the grift, the insider trading, the anti-constitutional behavior, the criminality, all of that. You gotta fix the problem of Reconstruction that did not get fixed at the end of the Civil War in order to keep this country from being completely destroyed, because otherwise I don't see how this country lasts.
Question, real quick. That means that that means that well over 70 million people out of 340 or 50 that, or million that we are now. What do we do with those 70 plus million people who voted for Trump and probably would vote for him again? What do we do about that? Those people are Americans, they're citizens, they're voters. They have the same rights we do. What do we do about them?
Maybe educate them a little bit, help them to understand that, people of a different color are not frightening and are not here to take your jobs, that, somebody who wants to have sex with somebody of the same gender, is none of their fucking business. What's in somebody else's pants is none of your fucking business, you pervert. Yeah, I mean, if you're concerned about what's in somebody else's pants, you're the pervert. It's not the person who's, fuck that shit.
And don't you have better things to do?
Oh my God. So educate.
You have a family, you have a country. Don't you have better things to do? Really?
And here's the other thing too, is this illiberal, anti-science, anti-education bullshit of we're listening to fucking influencers who don't know shit, and we're firing scientists, we're firing professors, we're firing educators, we're firing PhDs, we're firing researchers, and making this place just a cesspool of idiocy. I mean, why is RFK Jr. in the position that he's in? He knows nothing. He's not a doctor. He's not a scientist. He's not a researcher. He's a privileged asshole who's bored and wants to make a name for himself. So he spends all of his fucking time researching, which means like watching TikTok videos, following fucking, people on YouTube who have interesting things to do. Well, that's a very interesting. It's like, fuck off. He knows nothing. He knows nothing. Oh my God, this shit makes me so insane. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm an enormous proponent for education. Not that I think that having a PhD makes you the smartest person in the room, but it doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? The bottom line is that it's really, to me, very, very important that you teach people, everybody, and I don't care how old you are, should learn critical problem solving, critical thinking skills, to be able to look at something and say, you know what, that doesn't make sense, and understand that it's not true because, hey, that doesn't make sense. But instead, we have all of these fucking people, and this is, social media is largely play at this and, dumbing down education in the United States is such a shame. Oh my God. Such a huge topic.
I'm going to say something. I don't know if it's correct, but what she and I have said, I think probably a vast majority of the people who may or may not be listening to us know already.
Yeah.
I always, God help me, I always use them as an example, and I always will probably, because they're such a good example. And pray to God they don't know who I'm talking about. These folks who disagree with me violently and carry on most of these things, I swear to God, they know this already. They know this. They know it, and yet because of whatever reasons, they choose to ignore the facts and go down another road. This is a judgment. I grant you that, but I will make it. These people, and I'm granting them the best of intentions and the best of their better angels. They know this. They know it. There are reasons why they refuse to acknowledge it. Fine, I understand that.
I don't understand.
I do understand it because for me, I do. Oh shit! I do not want to come across as the perfect person preaching to those less perfect. Ain't the case. Ain't the case. I'm as imperfect as anyone else, but even imperfect people can learn the truth, and refusing to acknowledge it does no one any good. It does no good to the person who denies it. It does no good to the rest of us. I think that this podcast and anyone else who speaks, whether they're in agreement with me or not, hopefully feel that what they say and what they believe is coming from the heart, coming from the deepest beliefs of their deepest of their beliefs. And sometimes it's very hard to get there. Sometimes it's so easy to stop before you get to the top and say, I can't handle that. I can't accept that, but I can accept this, that this person or this policy, while it's not perfect, is the best. It's not the best. And don't stop there. It's harder to be painfully honest with yourself, but that's when the truth comes out. That's when the truth comes out. Anything else is going to leave you and me and everybody else wanting. That's it. No, I'll stop there.
I get it. I get it. And, it's hard when you see people actively voting against their best interest. And as I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've seen this reflected in a couple of places, that if America survives this, and doesn't break apart, and doesn't get destroyed by another entity or doesn't destroy itself. I think that America is going to basically be looking a lot like India. There's going to be a handful of people at the very, very tippy top who are enormously, obscenely wealthy, and the vast majority of the population is going to be so impoverished that they barely can, put the body and soul together. That's what I think could very easily happen to this country. And, for the ignoramuses who voted for Trump and would continue to vote for him, they're the ones who are going to be enormously impoverished, but still blaming, a cross-dresser or, like a trans person or an immigrant for their circumstances.
Or a plain old fag like me.
Or fag, or woman.
Plain old fag like me.
Woman, yeah. Or the educated elite, the woke people. They're just, because, and it's just as I came to the understanding in the run up to the first Trump election, there's this enormous schism between the left and the right. We're not even talking about far factions on either side. But there's this enormous schism about, the left being elite, educated, people who think that they're smarter than everybody else. And, that the right, well, we're real people, we're honest people, we're hardworking people. You guys are something different than that. And you're always looking down on us, and we're fucking sick of being looked down on.
And they voted for Trump.
That's right. And the point is that, as I've come to understand, they're right. We do look down on them. We do think that they're stupid. I know I do. I know I absolutely look down on them and I think that they're stupid. And am I wrong about that? I don't know. Actions speak louder than words. So for me, much as I want in my enormously progressive liberal little heart, I don't want to extinguish them. I don't want them to have a bad life. I don't want them to not be able to, to express their opinions. I don't want them fucking making rules for the rest of the fucking world. That's my problem. There are genuinely people out there who are less intelligent, less capable, less learned, less curious, less all of these things. And they have every right to live. They have every right to have a wonderful life, to have, to be healthy and happy, and it was like a life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In my opinion, they have every right to all of that, as everybody else does. But I don't want them making up the rules because they're not smart enough. And they're going to make rules based on pettiness and lack of information and insecurity and hatred and ignorance. So I don't want them making the rules. I don't want, and partisan gerrymandering, this is going to destroy this country. It should be illegal. And I don't give a fuck who does it. It's cheating. It's fucking cheating. How does anybody not get that? It's fucking cheating. Partisan gerrymandering is cheating. The end.
And the only reason that it persists is because people want to be elected and they will ignore everything else other than that.
They know that their policies are not sufficient to get them elected. So they have to cheat in order to make sure that they get into power and stay in power.
They will do anything. That's whether Democrat or Republican, they will do anything that they have to do to get elected. That's the only thing that matters to them. Well, if that's the kind of people we want to elect, then we deserve them. We really do.
That's it.
My God, this has been the most exhilarating, if non-uplifting.
Uplifting? Holy shit, I feel like I need a drink now more than I did before. Holy shit. No, I mean, by the constant low-grade anxiety of whether or not Trump is going to fucking call for the nuclear football, or God, I mean, I don't believe that this country is old enough and strong enough and secure enough to make it past this. I mean, the first Trump administration, yeah, definitely. I was feeling very, very positive when Joe Biden was elected and he passed 4 enormous bipartisan pieces of legislation that really, really, really helped the American people. He was slated to become the most consequential president really since FDR, you know? And then boom, we don't want that because, he's old, and we don't want that dark lady because she's got a funny laugh, and well, we just don't want that lady. So they vote this motherfucker in again, and we already knew. So somebody's going to have to come with a very, very, very large portfolio of receipts to prove to me that America is worth saving at this stage of the game. Because to me, I don't see how we can do it, and I just don't see it. It was a great idea. It was a great concept, but nobody protected the concept of America. Everybody just said, oh, wow, yeah, freedom. What that means is freedom to be as greedy as we can. Freedom to take as much control as we can.
Free to be me. Forget about everybody else. Free to be me.
Yeah.
This individualism, it's wonderful. Up to a point.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who, but someone in the last 4 or 5 days I saw on TV in a discussion about the the characteristics of Americans. He pointed out that individualism is one of the most important. I agree, it's one of the most important. It's also one of the most negative, degradatory, destructive characteristics that we have. Yes,
it's not, but
everyone is an individual. Everyone deserves respect, love, and whatever. But I am an individual. I don't have any right to determine the trajectory of the city, the state, the country, the cosmos. I don't have that respect. Is that right? No one does.
Oh, see, this is where the whole concept of individualism is just complete fucking roots, okay? Because the people who actually believe in American individualism are not the fucking Republicans, okay? If you're MAGA, you don't buy individualism at all. Because individualism means you are allowed to be who you are without interference from the fucking government. And that means if you're a woman, if you're a minority, if you're LGBTQ, if you are, live any kind of life that individualistically does not overlap somebody else's rights, you should fucking be allowed to just live your fucking life without interference from the government. And already we have seen this enormous wave of rights being taken, civil rights, simple human dignity rights being taken away from women and minorities in this country. So that by the people who are in power, who are the Republicans. So they don't believe in individualism. They don't believe that at all. What they want, and this is completely clear in Project 2025, that document, is they believe that they have the right to instill a white Christian nationalist government and society on everybody that lives here. That everyone must bow to that trope.
And may I throw in right here, as a Catholic Christian, when they say Christian,
they don't mean Catholic.
They don't mean Catholic.
That's right.
They mean Protestant. They mean basically evangelical right now. Yes.
That's what.
Now, excuse me if that sounds the way it is, but that is the way it is.
Mm-hmm. You only just need to see the bullshit, beef between the president's administration and the Pope, for Christ's sakes. Who's American?
Exactly.
It's like we all took crazy pills.
There is, as a Catholic, I know in my bones and in my marrow that I do not want this to be a Christian nation. I really don't, because I know what that means. It means that 70 million or so of us who are Catholic, we ain't included in that. No, 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 no. They do not want us parading down the street in processions for Corpus Christi Day, as is frowned upon in already some places. They do not want us proclaiming doctrines that are absolutely anathema to the majority of Protestants. And I'm not putting down Protestants here. I'm putting down those who want Protestants and Catholics or anybody else who wants us to be a religion, a country based on religion. That is not what this is. And if you claim that it is, then you have no right claiming to be an American, because that is not. But the founders, who were not Christians, most of them, they were deists. They didn't believe in the divinity of Christ. They didn't believe in the virgin birth. They did not believe in the resurrection. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Washington, Benjamin Franklin, all of them, Adams, they did not believe in these things. They believed in a God who basically set, this is from the Enlightenment, basically set the world in motion, set the clock, and walked off the stage. And that was it. Walked off the stage. He is not involved in your everyday life. That has nothing to do with Christianity, and that is what these people are saying they're trying to propagate. What a bunch of bullshit. What a bunch of bullshit. It's a fucking lie.
Well, not the least of which is that what about everybody who belongs not at all to either of those sects of belief system? And, so what? So you now are forced into living within the confines of something that you find absolutely horrific. So this is not America.
No. And I would say that I, as a Catholic, would find it impossible to live in a country as horrific as a country that says that you must be a Christian, which is not Christian, it's Protestant. It's not Christian, it's Protestant. And that is not a denigration of the Protestants at all. It is a denigration of those who would call Protestants Christians, and Christian in the sense that they mean that they want it to be the way they want it is. They want it to be white. They want it to be
male.
They want it to be the way they want it. And the rest of us, well, if we continue or allow it to continue to exist, it's on the margins. It's on the margins. You're black, you're Catholic, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, whatever.
You're a woman.
The woman, you're gay. That has no part in their country. And if you start to divide up the numbers of these, or take into account the numbers of these peoples, you're going to find that there are probably 60 to 70 million Catholics in this country. There are perhaps 5 or 6 million Muslims, 6 million Jews. It adds up. It adds up. What do you do with a couple 100 million people who don't believe you do? What do you do? Ship them off to Brazil? I don't think so. No. This idea of Christian nationalism is just the most disgusting stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I'm thinking that for our next topic of discussion on our next podcast, which will be, not sure, sometime, maybe we'll do, I can't see, well, we'll see when that's going to be. But we might want to just peruse what would a white Christian nationalist nation look like.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think that would be fun. I think that maybe that's
wonderful.
like a really, really, really.
It wouldn't include this.
Well, it wouldn't include that for us. I mean, the people at the top would definitely be able to drink and do whatever they like.
Right.
They'd be able to do whatever, right? But we would not be able to.
What about you good old Baptists who are not hard shell Baptists? What about you? Think about it.
Think about all that. Anyway,
yeah.
Food for thought.
Wow.
There's sure nice dinner discussion tonight.
Great afternoon. Wow.
Cheers. I'm dry, but
yeah, I'm almost
my
dry.
Tiny bit a little. Cheers to you.
Cheers to all you
guys. Because to me, that's what makes the world a great place. And as we do our tiny part to bring the discussions to the table of why it is that we feel occasionally like our hair is on fire, why these things are important. And so we hope that you're having these kinds of discussions among yourselves, with your friends, and in your community. And please join us, like and subscribe, and comment. Tell us what you think, and give us some ideas about what you're talking about at your breakfast table or your dinner table.
And cheers to you who dare to think for yourselves, even though it don't work well with your family, friends, relatives, whoever. Think for yourselves, honestly. That's okay. It may not be guaranteed in the Bill of Rights, but it's okay. It's okay.
It is guaranteed in the Bill of Rights. We just need to make sure that it's enforced.
Right.
Cheers to that.
À tout à l'heure.
À la prochaine.